Hey everyone, and welcome. So, have you ever heard the term cloud computing and just thought, what on earth is that? It sounds big, maybe a little intimidating, right? Well, stick with me because today we're going to break it all down using one really simple analogy that makes everything click. Thinking of the cloud like renting an apartment instead of buying a house. Let's get into it.
All right, so let's kick things off with a question that, we can all relate to. When you need a place to live, what do you do? Do you go through the whole process of buying a house, or do you find an apartment to rent? Both are valid options, but they come with very different trade-offs. And believe it or not, that exact choice, that's the key to understanding what the cloud is all about. So let's look at those trade-offs, right? If you own a house, you've got that massive upfront cost, and then everything is on you. I mean, you're on the hook for the leaky roof, the busted furnace, all of it. Plus, it's not very flexible. If you suddenly need a bigger house, well, good luck. That's a huge process. Renting, though, totally different story. You pay as you go, month by month. The landlord handles all the maintenance. That's the best part. And if you need to upgrade to a bigger place or downsize, you can just move. Now, just hang on to that idea. And that right there is where cloud computing comes in. It's the solution. Think of it as the ultimate rental apartment, but for all your digital needs. Instead of buying your own clunky, expensive physical servers, which is like buying the house, you just rent computing power, storage, databases, and all sorts of other services from a cloud provider. You get all the perks of renting. No huge upfront costs, someone else handles the maintenance, and you only pay for exactly what you use. Okay, so let's do this. Let's take a little tour of our new digital apartment. And just like any great apartment building, this one comes with a bunch of amazing amenities included. The very first and most important one is the place where we'll actually run our code and applications. This is kind of like the main living space, right? The place where all the action happens. First up, we've got something called EC2, or Elastic Compute Cloud. The best analogy for this is renting a computer in a shared workspace. You're not buying the building, you're not even buying the desk, you're just renting the computer on it for exactly as long as you need it. Need a super powerful one for a few hours? Go for it. Need a small one that runs 24/7? You can do that too. It's all on demand. No buying a physical machine, ever. All right, so we've got our virtual computer up and running. But, every good apartment needs some closet space, right? A place to put all your stuff. Where are we going to store all of our files, our photos, our important documents? Let's check out the next amenity on our tour. And for that, we have S3, the simple storage service. Honestly, the best way to picture this is a digital locker, but one that is infinitely big. Seriously, you can put anything in here. Images, videos, backups, website files, you name it, and you can get to it from anywhere in the world. You just never run out of space. It's awesome. Okay, so throwing files in a locker is great for some things. But what about when your data is more, well, structured? Like a big list of all your customers or your entire product inventory. You can't just toss customer records or product catalogs into a locker and hope for the best. No, for that, you need a library. And that's where RDS, or the Relational Database Service, comes into play. This is like having your own personal, professional librarian for all your data. You just hand over your books, your databases, and the librarian takes care of everything. They organize it, they secure it, they make backup copies, they handle all the updates. Basically, you get to focus on what the data means and let AWS handle all the boring, tedious management stuff. Okay, here's a fun one. What if you have a job that only needs to be done every once in a while? Like, maybe every time a user uploads a new profile picture, you need to resize it into a thumbnail. You're not going to have a whole computer sitting around running 24/7 just waiting for that to happen, right? That'd be crazy inefficient. Say hello to Lambda. It's like this little robot that just sits in a closet, totally asleep. But the instant that event happens, the user uploads the photo, the robot wakes up, does its one specific job, like resizing the photo, and then immediately goes back to sleep. And the best part? You only pay for the few milliseconds or seconds it was actually working. It's just insanely efficient. All right, we've got all these cool amenities, but now we need to talk about something super important: security. All this cool stuff doesn't mean much if it's not safe and private. You wouldn't leave your apartment door wide open, right? We've got to build some fences, put up a gate. And that fence is called the VPC, or Virtual Private Cloud. Think of this as your very own private, gated neighborhood carved out inside the massive city that is the AWS cloud. You control the gate, you control the fences, you get to make all the rules about who's allowed in and who's allowed out. It keeps all your stuff safe and isolated from everyone else. Okay, so the gate is up, the fences are built. But now we need to control what happens inside our neighborhood, like who gets the keys to which rooms. Just because you're inside the gate doesn't mean you should be able to go everywhere. For that level of detail, you need a security guard. And that security guard's name is IAM, Identity and Access Management. With IAM, you can get super specific. It's like having a security team where you can tell each guard exactly who they're allowed to let into which room. So maybe your developers get keys to the computers, but your marketing team only gets keys to the storage lockers. It gives you incredibly fine-grained control. All right, security is tight, but how do we actually know what's going on inside? Is everything running okay? Is one of our computers getting overloaded? Is there some kind of error happening that we don't know about? We need a way to monitor the health of our whole setup. Well, for that, you need CloudWatch. This is literally the CCTV camera system and the alarm system all rolled into one for your entire digital home. It keeps an eye on the performance of your computers, it tracks how much storage you're using, and if anything looks wrong, it can set off an alarm and send you an alert. It's your eyes and ears watching everything 24/7. So let's recap. Our application is running, it's secure, we're monitoring it, and oh, it's getting popular. Suddenly, we have a ton of visitors knocking at the door all at once. How do we let everyone in and give them a great experience without the whole place getting overwhelmed and crashing? Simple. You hire a traffic cop. That's exactly what an elastic load balancer does. As all the requests from your users start flooding in, it stands out front and intelligently directs the traffic. It says, okay, you go to that server, you go to this server over here, and you head to that one. It spreads the load out evenly so no single computer gets overwhelmed, keeping your app fast and reliable for everyone. Okay, we are almost at the end of our tour. Just one last crucial stop. We've built this amazing digital apartment, but how do people actually find it? I mean, people can't find you if they have to type in a long string of numbers, right? They need a simple, easy-to-remember address, like myawesomeapp.com. And that is precisely the job of Route 53. It really is like the phone book or directory assistance for the entire internet. When a person types in your friendly website name, Route 53 is the service that looks up the complicated numerical address of your server and connects them. It's the magic that makes the internet actually usable for us humans. So let's just step back and see how this all clicks together. You can see how all these different amenities we just toured actually work together to create something real, like a website. You host your site on an EC2 computer, you store all your images in that S3 locker, you manage all your user accounts in your RDS library, you handle all the visitors with your load balancer traffic cop, and you let people find you using Route 53. See? Each piece has its own clear, simple job. And when you boil it all down, that's the big idea. It all comes back to our rental analogy. With the cloud, you get to stop worrying about the digital plumbing and the wiring. You get to focus on your idea, your app, your creation. You rent the tools you need, you only pay for what you use, and you let the landlord, your cloud provider, worry about keeping the lights on. And so that leaves us with just one final and I think really exciting question. Now that someone else is handling all that heavy lifting for you, the servers, the networking, the security, the plumbing, what are you going to build? The sky is quite literally the